You're listening to Living in Spain podcasts with David Wright.
Hi, David Wright here, and welcome to another one of my podcast shows. Today, I'm going to be giving you one of my, probably the best tip I can give you if you're thinking about moving to Spain and buying a property here in Spain. So, here goes straight into it. Okay, so years ago when I first moved here to Spain, I wanted to buy a property here. I was quite desperate to buy. I had money in the bank from my sale in the UK, and I just wanted to put the deposit down and get on with buying my property here. And I was very, very green back then, and I was lucky enough to be renting an apartment in a building where a bank manager was just happened to be the bank manager of the bank that I was in, and we got to know each other quite well. And one day I went in there to ask him about getting a mortgage on a property, and he was telling me some information and advice, and he gave me this really good tip which I'm going to give to you. Okay, so the banks do quite a lot of in-depth checks on a property if you have a mortgage with them. If you don't, they're not really interested, and they leave it all up to the solicitor. And now these estate agents and solicitors just really doing their job. They don't do an in-depth report on the property and do the proper checks 90% of the time. Some solicitors do, they go into quite a lot, but you need to pay for this. It's an extra fee, or just some just don't bother to do it at all. So how can you check that a property is legal in Spain? How can you check that what you are buying is right and you won't have any problems further down the line? Okay, so this is what he told me. First of all, you need to go to your estate agents or the people that are selling the property and find out the plot number. Now, every building, property or land in Spain has a registry number. They call it a plot number. It doesn't matter if it's a plot of land or if it's an apartment or an old building. It will have this plot number or a registry number. Now, you can get this off of the deeds of the property. That is the escritura here. Or you can ask the owner or the estate agent for that property plot number or registration number. If they don't want to give it to you for some reason, then that's a red herring straight away. There could be something wrong with it. But if they won't give you the number, then you can just take the address, street address of the property, and you can go to the planning registry officer at your local town hall. Now, first of all, they don't speak English there, or the ones that I've been to don't speak English, so I would advise taking somebody with you that speaks pretty good English and Spanish. Now, if you don't know where the planning registry officer is, just go to your local town hall or council offices and ask them, and they will tell you where the land registry officer is. It's normally in main cities or main towns. You'll have a building, an office building, and you don't need to make an appointment. You just go. This is where people go to put in plans for new houses or buildings or any alterations. You go to present the plans. Now, at the reception, you'll be greeted with somebody there, and they will tell you what you need. So you just say that you want to speak to the planning registry officer. In Almeria, where I went, or a couple of places where I've been to, it's just a receptionist, and they pass you through. You walk up to the offices and you just go in and speak to somebody, and there's normally a big office with several people working there. Just say, I want to speak to the planning registry officer. They might ask you what area. You tell them the area of the property, and in my case in Almeria, the last property we were building was actually a plot of land. So we went in and spoke to the registry officer there and said, look, I'm thinking about buying this property, plot of land, whatever it is you want to buy, and you give him as much details as you can on the property, where it is. He will open up a book. There's got all these books on file. He will go through the books to narrow it down, the area, the street, and then he'll finally find the property, building or plot of land. And he will tell you who is that registered with, who is the legal owner of that property, has he got any mortgages or outstanding debts on the property, even to the extent where how much the mortgage is. If somebody's got a mortgage on that property, he will tell you what bank it's with and how much the mortgage is for. And also he will tell you if you say it's a 3-bedroom property you're buying, he will say yes, we've got 3 bedrooms on there, or he'll say no, it's only 2 bedrooms, so they must have had something done. Okay, it's 4 bedrooms now, it's got a swimming pool. No, there's no swimming pool on the deeds. And now if there's not if he hasn't got everything lined up on his deeds, then it's not right. For example, if they've got a swimming pool and a garage on the building you're buying, and it's not on the registry officer plans, then that doesn't exist. That's not accountable, and it'll be trouble going through the notary. Now, the notary might not pick it up. The lawyer, solicitor, and maybe even the estate agent won't know about this, or sometimes even the owner of the property has bought and sold it, moved on, and they haven't found this. But it could be a problem further down the line for you. One example I'll give you, we were going to buy a house here. It was a 3-bedroom house. It was an old house. We didn't want it. We wanted the land that was on. So we were going to knock the house down. I went to the planning registry officer, told him about this property, and he said, oh yeah, it's a 3-bedroom house, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, it's got a wall around it with a garage. And he went, no, there's no wall around the property. You're not allowed to build a wall around it. It can only have a wooden fence or a mesh fence. And I said, oh, it doesn't matter, we're going to knock it down. And he said, it does matter because technically that is an illegal part of the building. And also they had a garage on there, or lean-to garage, that was not on their deed. So he said, that is an illegal build. There could be a problem further down the line, even when you come to the notary and you want to knock the house down. So he said, I would go back to them. We went back to the estate agents, told them, and they said, oh, that's not a problem. You just get that signed off at the notary and don't worry about it. They were just desperate for us to put down a deposit. Now, once you put a deposit down on a property here in Spain, it is non-refundable. So for example, if you put 5-10 grand down and there's a problem and you decide, well look, we've had enough of this, we're going to pull out, you lose that money, all of it, okay? But if they pull out, if the seller pulls out, then you will get double the deposit. For example, you put 5,000 down, they find another buyer that's going to pay more, they got to give you back 10,000 in your hand. So it's always worth remembering that if you really like a property and you've done your checks, put down as big a deposit as you like. You're going to buy it anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you put down a big deposit now or later. So that will secure the property, and I have done that personally a couple of times. But going to the planning registry officer will find out everything you need to know. I've pulled out of buying a couple of properties here in Spain because of things I found. For example, one property we were going to buy, which was just needed some renovation work, had a little red line across the corner of the property in the garden. So I said to the planning registry officer, what's that red line? And he said, there's an underground pipe there from the council. You can't ever build anything on top of that corner. And that just happened to be where I wanted to put a garage and a driveway. And I said, well, what if I put a garage or driveway? He said, well, they have permission to come in and access that. So it means digging up that area. So whatever's on top of that, they can dig it up to get to their pipe, and you have to reimburse them and you have to pay for any expenses. So that was a problem straight away. We didn't want to buy that property and we pulled out just because of that. Now you can find out so many things just by going to the planning registry officer at your local town hall, and it could save you a lot of money, time and stress in the long run. So that is my best tip. Take somebody with you that speaks English and Spanish and ask as many questions as you can about that property. Also, you can ask questions about the neighbouring property as well. If they've got permission for the garage that's built on the side, if they've got permission for that swimming pool that's butted up against your wall, things like that. So make sure that you get a good idea of surrounding areas, what's around you. If there's a bit of land behind you, are they going to build on that? What are they going to build on it? Maybe they've only got permission for a house, or have they got permission for a school or a factory? Things like this. All of this can be found out with a simple trip to the planning registry officer, and it's free to the public. And remember that I now do free consultations. Now, where you can book a consultation call with me. This is a video call, and I will give you some of my top tips and advice that's more personalised and targeted for your needs. If you want to know more information about this and exactly what you can get, just click on the link below this audio now. Hope that helped. If it has, leave a quick comment. Thanks for listening.
If you have enjoyed this podcast by David Wright, then you will love his new books. Out now on Amazon and Kindle, packed with money-saving tips and information on living and working in Spain. Just go to livinginspainbooks.com. David also has a popular blog for expats in Spain. Come and take a look now at britishexpatsinspain.com.